Hi, we're live. We're going to do nothing but Oracle Garden and kind of talk about Oracle Gardens and crystals and all that good stuff. I only got 5 questions, so please post questions in uppercase. I'll get to you as I have time. I know Gigi's been on here for a while. Sharon Sipe's been typing in all of her most marvelous good messages supporting the channel. Um, and I'm going to kind of talk here for a minute to get you ready for what we're going to be into. Um, I'm going to read from the garden, which is the silk scarf and the 5 crystals. I'm going to explain all about the garden. I'm going to give a much better, I think, more complete foundational discussion of the garden. If people show up, I don't know who the 2 people are that are on there now. YouTube's doing odd things. It's hard to tell how many people are out there. But I'm looking forward to this show. I've been thinking I needed to do a new garden show. One of the reasons, excuse me, my throat's still acting up. One of the reasons that I wanted to do a garden show was I wanted to do a series of garden readings that I could cut up and make into shorts. So be aware, your questions will be, and I don't use last names unless somehow they slip it in the banner that I created for them. But anyway, we'll see how it goes and see where everybody shows up. It's because everybody always tells me they want to know about crystals. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing is doing crystals on Thursdays. And I'm going to be joining together with Dr. Gail for a while, talking about the earthbound crystal she uses in her healing when she's doing her healing with Solaris Center or just her healing that she does. And I'm going to be talking about the properties of the crystals that she has found over time do the best healing. But like I said, probably next Thursday, I'm going to start a real look at crystals, and it may not be a whole hour show. I don't think it's going to be a show that's going to include readings, but it is going to include information I think people need to know about crystals. For those of you who aren't bored to death with my health updates, but around Christmas I got really sick and I got the flu and I was knocked out for most of January. And I was like, why am I getting sick like this? Because it's not usually how I run. I don't run into long things. I run into short little couple day things. And everybody that was a reader that was talking to me just kept saying, slow down, calm down. You're just downloading a lot of stuff and it just feels like the flu. Well, according to the doctor, it was really the flu. But anyway, and in the last few days, I've been looking around about what I really wanted to do with myself when I grow up. And one of the things I want to do is work more with crystals. And I really am designing a complete course that explains crystals from what's the difference between a crystal, what's a stone, what's the power that's in them, looking at them from the very beginning of what is in the stone. Then I'm going to go through sacred geometry, and then I'm going to talk about building crystal grids, because most people could build grids in their own home. They wouldn't look exactly like mine, but it's really more balancing the energy to carry the power. So that means studying sacred geometry. It's going to be a whole lot to it. And that will be a course. That will be something I want people to pay to keep up with, to learn about, to treat it like it's knowledge that they need to gather in an organized form. But one of the things that's come up recently is there's been a young woman who is from New Zealand, and she's put together a video, and she actually concentrates and uses her body's frequency to control water, and she's actually getting images in the water that match what she's been concentrating in flowing with them about. And she's someone that Pam Gregory has spoken about several times. And it's the concept's very interesting. Hold for a second. All of a sudden, my voice decided to mask itself. And her theory is water's alive, just like we're alive. It reacts to frequencies. It's part of the living mechanism of the universe around us. And I felt, and when people talk to me about it, I'll talk to them about it, but I think stones are alive. I think they've been alive a lot longer than we are. And that's why you can impart and learn knowledge from them if you work with them. They can help you focus your own frequencies also. But you don't have to believe that stones are alive or anything else to follow what we're going to be doing here. We're going to start with looking at the garden itself. The garden has 20 segments. You'll see what I mean. It's got 20 little segments, and each of the segments has a word that has a meaning that was channeled through me in 1921 and or 22. And every night I was told I was going to learn about how to create this divination tool so that people could use crystals and read, kind of get an image of the past, present, and future, like I do with tarot cards. And the one thing I asked him to do when I was in the middle of the night negotiating with the powers that be that helped bring this in is I didn't want it to be able to do sort of the black and white of politics, sort of the yes and the no. There's a way you can do yes and no by throwing in one stone, but I came up with what I was told to bring in was 5 stones: body, which is fusite; mind, which is gold or orange calcite; spirit, which what else would it be but amethyst? That's the most spiritual stone that I can think of. Grounding, which is pyrite, which is fool's gold. It's a very heavy stone. This stone is far heavier than this stone, and look at the considerable difference. And then the last was clarity, and and the clarity stone is sodalite. And I know if you're used to seeing sodalite, you're used to seeing really bright blue. Most sodalite is tumbled, because this is what untumbled sodalite looks like, and it's not particularly attractive. But I tried when I was creating the garden and I was thinking about the different stones, I was trying to figure out doing these as tumbled stones. First of all, they'd be a lot cheaper. Trying to find raw stones is hard. And secondly, they'd be a lot more. I would know exactly what size every stone is for each garden. But the difference between tossing a rough stone into a garden and a smooth stone or a tumbled stone is the tumbled stones tumble. I mean, they just fly all over the place. So I only had to throw with it a few times to figure out what shape it needed to be. Now, what about the spaces that are on the garden? The 4 in the center, which is, if you think about it, and you're going to throw stones in this, you're probably going to get more things in the center than anywhere else. But the stones in the center are the elements: earth, fire, water, and air. And I almost took the shamanic definitions of those spaces when I was thinking about how to work with the garden. So I have those 3 spaces. Then I was told to put the chakras, this root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and then because I needed another space to finish out the circle, I saw the tree of life fit in there. And then you have sort of the situations you live in your life that you're going to be touching. So I have go for it, true, future, present, path forward, false, restate, and past. And those came out of a whole series of me waking up in the middle of the night, madly scrambling on my tablet what it needed to look like. And then I was working with a lovely woman, and she's still a lovely woman. Her name is Alma. She lives in Florida. And she came up with the kind of the shape for the garden to be in and all the decorations. And she found me this silk manufacturer that could print the well, I call them tiles. I call each of these a tile that you fall on. And they could print up something so we could do the tiles. I had a friend who built all the gardens. Once I got this done, the first garden we ever made was in black and white. And it was very stunning in some ways, but it wasn't, the energy on it was wrong. There's just a whole lot that went into this. So every night for 20 nights, I would wake up and I would be awake, but I would be standing in a part of this garden in the energetically where it is. And I would see images about it, and I would get a whole story about the garden. And then I would record it into my phone, and the next day I would record it on paper. And then I had to take each stone, this is clarity, throw clarity in water. And I had to sit and say, when you throw clarity into water, what does it feel like? What do you know? And I wrote out, so I ended up writing, in essence, a book that has every space defined and kind of the whole atmosphere that's there. In Go For It's the first one I ever got. And in Go For It, when I was a small child, I was a child of great privilege. And my parents belonged to a country club. And they made me go learn how to play golf, which I know some of you are going, oh, why would they have to force you to do that? Because I was short and I don't like heat. And it was the Midwest. And they had a lovely swimming pool there. And I would rather spend my whole day in that swimming pool. But anyway, I was out on the golf links with the pro, with the little gaggle of kiddies he was teaching how to play golf. In my vision, that's where I woke up. I was a little kid. And the problem of being really short on golf courses, if you've never been on one, they kind of undulate. So they have things that are behind mounds and stuff. And that's why all of the golf greens, if you've ever seen the pictures, they have those pins. They have the flags that say, what the hole is. But if you're short enough, and if the mound is high enough, you're not going to see where the hole is. I couldn't even see the damn flag. Anyway, the golf pro said, I can't see where to swing. I could be anywhere out there. Could be anywhere out in this horizon. And he said, just go for it. Just hit the ball. So I stood there pretty furious, got my hands in the right position. And believe me, there's a hand position you use in golfing, which is most abnormal. And I swung back and I hit that sucker as hard as I could, as angry as I was. I do have a bit of an Irish temper. And when we went over the mound and over to where the golf ball was, I hit a hole in one. And, which is like the holy grail in golf. I seriously think my guides had something to do with it getting there. But anyway, so after I told that story to myself, it was like, okay, when you pile enough of your energy behind it and you really strike out, you can go for it. And when you get a crystal in there, that's what it means. Anyway, each of these spaces has a story. One was a Victorian mansion that I was I was about to walk into a formal garden. A lot of them had to do with gardens. Restate is a weed bed, but there's good plants in there. You have to go through and think what your stone, when it lands in there, what's worth pulling out? What do I need to weed away? And what can I make grow better? So anyway, the backwards and forwards of all of this is I have 25 or 30 gardens left. When they're gone, they're going to be gone, because my person who is helping me put these together in Austin is no longer available to do it in Austin. All the magic things that brought these gardens together to work will be gone. And I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the end of my gardens, because I think someone else can pick it up and go with it. I've not found another divination tool. There is a school of divination of throwing crystals. I've not found one that has an intentional pattern like mine. But anyway, so today's questions, however, are all going to come from the chat, the comments section. And one sweet lady got in at the very last minute. It's kind of an appropriate question. I'll put it up first. Will I move to Texas anytime soon? So read back. We're going to look. That's one of the things is, if you've all heard tarot readers say, or readers of oracle cards, other things, seasons are very difficult. It's very hard to tell time when you're looking in the world of woo like this with crystals. And what they told me, first of all, is this is north where I live. That's north. And air, which is north, has to be facing north. So when you lay your scarf out, for me, air is on my right, fire's on my left. If I lived in another place and the cardinal directions were different, it could be all spun around and different. So that's one of the things. So you acclimate it to your space. So that's the first part of looking at these things. So this, like pizza pie slice of the garden, that's winter. Whatever's directly across from you when air is to wherever air is, whatever's, if this was north, then anyway, it's how it works. This is winter, spring, summer, fall. And I'm going by the astrologic winter, spring, summer, fall. So winter starts December 21st, spring's March 21st. We're coming right up on it. Summer is June, and fall is in September. And those are all very important dates. They're very important dates on the astrologic calendar. They're also very important dates. I work with elementals, and they're very important dates for the elementals. The solstices and the equinoxes are the only time that the ley lines are completely straight. And we'll get into that on another day. So that'll probably be like a Thursday topic. Okay, Reebok. Will I move to Texas anytime soon? Well, you really want some clarity on this, girl, because you've locked your clarity stone. It's right here. It's in her root chakra. And it says, you're tying yourself back to ancestral beginnings. It's tying yourself back to a cosmic space when you talk about this issue. It's got a lot to do with background, the earth, things that are, when stones fall in the earth is where things arise from. So I'm going to look at that one first for her. And I'm assuming you're a her. I'm sorry. Rebak. You have your grounding stone in earth. And it says, much is being brought forward around you right now. This is a hot topic for you right now. And your mind is between water and air. And when stones land in two spaces, you have to read both of them. They relate to both of them. And in water, your mind says, you need to let go of limitations. You're trying to talk yourself out of this. And your air is, your thinking is all important about whether this is going to happen. You are tying back to a cosmic past you have, but and it's emerging right now. A lot of stuff's happening around you that's making it clear it's what needs to happen. But then your body falls in fire, and it says it's important that you embody the best of your past. So if you've been able to make massive changes like this, I don't know how massive it is. You could be in Oklahoma for all that matters, but however massive this change is, you need to look at the ways that have worked for you in the past, the best, and bring those attitudes and that forward, because your spirit's in a really tricky place. It's in fire. Thoughts of the past are blinding you to enlightening new ideas, and you're in restate. And as I told you, restate is that funny place um, where you need to kind of weed through your thoughts. And it says you're going in the right direction, but you need clarification. So how would I put all this together? You're being pulled back here because you have a strong karmic tie to being in Texas. And I don't know where in Texas. I mean, being in Texas takes up a lot of real estate. So I have no idea what part of Texas you think you're coming to or looking at. But what it says is a lot of things are happening around you that are making it clearer and clearer for you to do that. The biggest part of and this, the biggest message from this stone is you need to let go of those limitations you're putting on yourself. Think about how you've done this the best in the past. And you need to, spiritually, you need to get rid of whatever burden you're carrying, whether it's to stay anchored where you are or whether it's a memory from the past from having been in Texas. And I have a feeling it's more of not wanting to let go of where you are. But when you turn this little stone just that much, then you'll be ready to come. And what I see is the fall and solidly in place in the winter. Because remember, this is winter, spring, summer, fall. And this would be winter a year from now. So that's her reading. And Jessica Lynn is a lady that's a leftover from yesterday. And I'm sorry, I was on with Terry from Holding Your Space yesterday. And Jessica had written to my email, to my connection, to get us thing. We were talking about shadow healing. And this lady's doing some shadow healing. She's looking at something that doesn't appeal to her. And she has to figure out what she needs to understand about it so she can make it right. And Jessica wanted to know the best way for her to heal. And let's see. I'm going to ask it this way. If you're going into a healing pattern, I'm going to ask for the timing on the healing pattern. Oops. Yeah, it's this winter. You're in the middle of a healing. Winter and spring this year are going to be huge for you for healing. And what you've got is your body needs to go for it. And part of your healing means controlling your body. And you've got go for it. And it says movement is easy for you right now, Jessica. It's going to be the best. It's going to guide you to the right best way to heal. And the other really important one is this in water. Grounding changes, the changes you're making right now in your path about healing, getting better, accepting, understanding, and looking at is forming into permanent patterns because you've got the grounding element in water. So it's moving forward, but it's going into permanent patterns. Then you got the tree of life, which people don't often get. And it says your path is right now is blessed with clarity and wisdom. And I think you should be happy we're doing this reading today because I think I'm getting a lot better reading from the guard for you. A lot of the healing is going to be done this winter, but it's going to be solidified in the spring because your spirit is in air and your spirit, your whole way of thinking about things is going to be transforming. And since you're here with the stone of the mind, that's a good thing because your thinking's all important. So what's the best way to heal? Whatever you're doing right now, whatever's freeing you to feel completely and feel all the changes that are going on around you. That's really important for you to heal. And I hope you find this show so you can see that because that's a really good message. This one wants to, if okay, we're going to see. I'm going to do this with a pendulum because there's a yes-no aspect. And like I said, when I developed the garden, it wasn't to do simple yes-nos. And I'm not supposed to use that. Okay, I'm going to use this pendulum. And I'm going to start swinging around. And do I have permission to douse? I do. That's yes for me. That's a yes. Am I protected at this time? Yep. And okay. I got one more question I want to ask, and I just blanked on it, which is not good. Am I aligned with my higher self in this reading? I do these for pendulum readings and I'll explain it to you someday about pendulums, but the kind of energy they pull in. Yes. I'm aligned with my higher self. So let's see. Will Cheryl retire to her mother's homeland of Mexico? Yes. And it's a really strong yes. So I'm going to look at the configuration the stones say of the story around you retiring to your mother's homeland in Mexico. Cheryl moving to Mexico. Ooh, okay. I mean, you've got someone in your family trying to talk you out of doing that. But you really feel it's something you've wanted to do for a long time. So you really feel like you have the clarity of wanting to make this kind of transition. Your body is in air, and it says ground your thoughts. Think about it in very practical terms. And I'm sorry you can't see it, but over here in this space, you've got your values or grounding is in path forward. And it's more abundance can be created for you by doing that, and you understand how to make that work. This is the part where you're having the problems with the family. Someone's been trying to mislead you about living in Mexico, but at the same time, you've been having final thoughts about it, so you're not letting them sway you. And you have your spirit and fire. And this is some stories of what you heard about your mother grew up with in Mexico have been clouding your thoughts, but new ideas. It's your spirit's being transformed with regards to this. So I think yes, and I think it's going to happen when you get out of you got some naysayers around you. When you get away from them, I think it's an important thing for you to do. So that's what my garden says. And my pendulum. And let's see, we got to move questions. Okay, Lakotas, I'm a recluse, but I'd love you to do a reading. Well, nothing says I can't do a reading for a recluse. I mean, good Lord. Okay. What's a good reading for Lakotas? Lotakus. I'm not sure how to say your name, but okay. You've got your body's in water, which means your body's moving. You're grounding some elements. The most important part of this is your clarity is in your solar plexus. And your solar plexus is that area not quite up to where your heart is, but between your belly button and your heart. And that's where the solar plexus is where the energy center of our body revs us up to go out there and get things done. And you have more than one way to express your power and move forward. So one of the reasons why I think you're being a recluse is you don't want to make a decision about that. And also your spirit is in false. Your spirit's not really aligned with the situation of being a recluse. You should be around more people, and your mind is exactly split between earth and air. which means from earth, final thoughts are coming. Earth and fire, I'm sorry. And this is one of the reasons you've stopped, is because you become tied to false energy of the past and you're not really ready to move forward just yet. But you've got your pyrite, which is your grounding. It's kind of your value system is between air. Your mind is going to be your way to get to abundance, and you also have it in present. And present is like right now, and your values are changing right now. So some of this, I'm a recluse, what do I see for you, is you're going to be shifting away from that paradigm. You've chosen to live where you live, and it's stopping you from having your real power and your real energy go forward. Your body is in the water, you're swimming. Your grounding elements, this is for both things. This being between water and air, it's saying ground yourself and figure out what you really want to do. It's what you avoid doing. That's why your spirit's here. Your spirit's going to move out into earth, and new ideas are going to be formed. And it's going to be a slow process, but I think you're going to come out of this being a recluse, and that's one reason why you asked me today that question. And then pixie dust. Yes, pixie dust has been to card days when I do cards. And she kept asking about her son, and I kept not getting any kind of timing cards. So let's see. When will pixie dust son start communicating with me? With her again? And that's an abbreviated question from pixie dust, because I couldn't. She wrote me a long question, and I can only do 200 characters in this format. Okay. Well, pixie dust, you're making me earn my living today. When I told you that you have to read a stone that falls, so this stone falls in all three places. Your clarity, and as far as just this is winter, spring, summer, fall, I think something's going to break the ice, but I think it's going to be about next fall, late summer, next fall, that your son's going to be getting back in touch with you. But this is what's going on here. You have clarity in future. If you start thinking in positive terms about him and surrounding him with white light instead of resentment and why aren't you here and what's going on, that will help him pull him forward, because you've got the crown chakra right here, which says everything's about to be, things are becoming clearer. And when you have the tree of life, your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. So when you can get into your clarity, it'll really help you a whole lot. Your mind is just beginning to understand how to handle all this. And some of the separation's been important for both of you to grow into your own things. But final thoughts on this situation are coming, and then it's going to be changes from him. And this is old ancestral family shit. This is past life stuff. This isn't even in this life. What's going wrong, what went wrong with you and he, or what went right so you could grow to this place, depends on how you view it. You've got your spirit and your body and fire. And remember, I told you fire is past life, ancestors, or past things in our lives. And boy, you two are both stubborn. Both of you have thoughts from the past that are clouding where you need to be. And you need to ground your thoughts and think of things in terms of where they can move to. And this is another 3 stone. No, this is 5 stones. Your grounding force, that the element, the energy that's grounding you right now, is pushing you to understanding this, comes from, you need to look at the patterns that happen and figure out how to break them. You need, this just means clarification from your past, which is just one more stone added to this stone. You've got sacral creativity. So it's going to take some, your root chakra attaches to it and creates sort of the beginning of the idea, but it's the sacral creativity that really makes um, an idea come. And so you're supercharged right now, which makes sense with these over here. You really can see what ways you ought to go, and you really should be happy that you've touched water, because pyrite and water means long-term things are coming to pass. And that was my phone. It wasn't anything weird, but you do have a touch of go for it. So this is really good. Things are aligned with your values. I think when he comes back, he's going to be more in touch with the values you want than the stubborn ones he's held on to. So I would say, girl, fall. We looked for time. We found it. Fall. Okay, now this is not a garden question. This is, I'm going to come back to me on the screen. If I can figure out how to get there. I used to work in television. It was so much nicer when you had other people pushing all those kinds of buttons. This lady's question has to do with family members that are thinking they shouldn't vote for Biden. She's trying to make them see the lights and see the light. And one of the things I couldn't, someone just bought a garden. That was the buzz you heard. Joe, okay, this is what you can say to them, but I'm going to tell you from years in politics, she said at the end of this, and like I said, there's only 200 characters, so you can't see it, but she said that they won't listen to more than 2 or 3 words. They've got it in their mind that Biden's old and his ego won't let him step aside. And she needs a powerful response because they think Trump is manageable. Well, okay. This is what you can say about Joe Biden. And he's one of the politicians that in my path from here to there, I did run into. I ran events he was at. I ran house parties where he was speaking. All of my kids have pictures, including my child that's now in her mid-30s. She was in high school. And the only reason she came to that house party, because she was really burned on politics, was because this guy, Doug, always had the best food. So little one showed up to eat Doug's best food and has a picture of carrying Doug's best food and waving behind Biden's head going across the living room. And none of these wonderful things became relevant to my children until Biden was picked by Obama to be his vice president. Now, my kids have been around Obama a little bit because I worked for him in Iowa and I organized things for him here in Texas. So they'd met him and had pictures with him. So the day that Obama picked Biden to be his vice president, all my kids posted all those pictures on Facebook. So I'm telling you, I've met Biden. He's a nice guy. He is real friendly and he is real huggy. And I am not a huggy person. So I have complete understanding of the people who are saying, I don't like all this hugging, but that's just who he is. But he is very nice. He wouldn't really, I'm Taurus with Scorpio rising. He's Scorpio with a bunch of other Scorpio in there. If his temper goes like mine, no, I wouldn't want to meet that man in a dark alley if he didn't like me. But I don't think he's evil. And this is the only statement. And I actually came up today. I read your question, Linda, yesterday. And what it says is Biden may make some mistakes, but they will truly be mistakes by trying to do what is best for all of us, not just what is best for himself. He's not a perfect man, but he's a good man. And that saying that he's a good man is something you cannot say about Trump. Now, I'm going to warn you also, your parents are in the cult. If it's what you said at Beyond the What was that you can't say more than 2 to 3 words to them and they shut you down because they don't want to talk about it. You just you have to meet them where they are. I think the worst thing you can do, it's like a teenager. If she brings home the world's worst motorcycle gang member and you really bitch out at the kid, that's going to make her want to cling on stronger. So just, I always treat mega like they're disgruntled teenagers. And now I'm going to go back in and look. Hello, Cheryl. Mimi and love crystals. I don't know what to do with them. Well, Mimi, keep following me because I'm going to be talking about all the things you can and can't do with crystals. When I first started my channel, it was more about crystals and how to learn about them than it was about cards and things. Dr. Gail and Skywalking with Moons in the house. Yay, I got to talk to you, girl. I saw your list of rocks. I got to figure out what you want me to do with them. Let's see. People aren't asking questions. They're either so fascinated talking to each other, no one has a question today. Hit the thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you think you're subscribed, check and make sure you're subscribed. Rossi, am I going to give up making the eggs? No, but I'm in negotiation with the place that makes them. But yeah, I have one throat chakra egg left, I think. And then I have to make more eggs. For those of you who haven't seen that, go to my website and go to my store and you can see what they go. Yes, and Candy, who's another reader, yeah, it's very difficult for us as readers to say to people, I mean, and I've been reading since I was 12, which was like just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Long history of this. But it always was very, I could look for season cards. There are season cards in the tarot, but a lot of times it was timing's just, it sucks. It just sucks. And Sharon Sipes, the warmest lady in the world. She's sending big hugs and comfort to all of us. That's the other thing you can do if you really, okay, I got a question. This one thing you can do for the lady who has the family that's thinking has listening to the mainstream media and thinking Joe's too old. Have them go look at the State of the Union address a year ago. Now, if they don't sit through State of the Union's address, I mean, this is lost too. But during that State of the Union address, the Republicans were marching all around Washington saying they were going to get Social Security, which is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I know the purple hair probably fools you, but my hair is actually snow white, and it does purple when I put purple rinse on it. So when they start cutting my Social Security, it's like, I'm going to have to go down at the old woman's shelter to live. So when they were running around talking about that, he started getting him in a statement in response with the Congress. And by the end of the State of the Union address, he'd gotten the Congress to agree that it would never touch Social Security. That's just some press lie. It's not true that they would never do that. And they were backed into it. I mean, now everybody'd seen it. It was all over the TV. They could show them all at a meeting showing it. So, okay. Okay, Penelope T wants her guides to talk to her. I'm going to go down the rest of them, Penelope. I'm going to get to you. I'm not ignoring you. I got another person with guides want me to know. Okay, and I will review that for you, Candy. Okay, I got 3 people who want to know what their guides want them to do. Now, if you don't belong to my channel, or you haven't heard this before, because if you belong to my channel, you've heard this before. I was 69, and I went down to Austin to see Brian Weiss, who is the Many Lives, Many Master Past Lives guy. And he hypnotized a ballroom. There were 800 people in the ballroom. He hypnotized us 5 times that day. And one of the hypnosis was to go and meet your guides. Well, like I said, I've been reading cards since I was 12, and I was born in 1949. I'll let you do the math. And when I was reading cards at a lot of psychic fairs in the 70s, everybody around me would talk about their guides were telling them this, and they were having these long conversations with their guides. But their guides inevitably were Native American Indian princesses or pharaohs from ancient Egypt or something weird. And I kept thinking, it didn't strike me as right. Okay, at that point in my development, it just didn't strike me as right. So when he said, I'm going to put you under and we're going to go meet your guides, I went, sure we are. I've managed to avoid this pleasure for years. And what happened was he put me under, and I woke. When I came to and my eyes opened, I was standing in a pre-colonial Southern plantation's kitchen. And next to me was the most incredibly interesting looking tall Black woman. And I looked at her and I realized, oops, I guess I'm going to get to meet my guide. And I go, hi, I'm Nancy. And she looked at me and she said, yes, I know. And I said, but I don't know your name. And I said, I'm really sorry for having not gone to great lengths to acknowledge you as my guide, if that's who you are. And she said, oh, I'm your guide. She said, my name is Addie. And Addie and I have had a long, close relationship since then. But she told me she didn't need to talk to me. I didn't need to go have a long conversation. I did everything she told me to do. So Addie was just happy as a clam with me. So guides were never a big thing. Now I have helped people in individual readings. Sometimes I can hear their guide's name, or Addie will tell me their guide's names. I have two primary guides. I have Frank, who's my protector. He's a big, huge guy whose ancestral earthly ancestral connections are in Albania. These are the things they tell you. And he's there to protect me. And between he and Addie, they got me out of a lot of places I shouldn't have gotten out of easily. So, but we're going to look at what Penelope, I'm going to say, okay, Penelope, what do you want? What do your guides want you to know about where you need to be and where you should be thinking about heading? Ooh. Okay, you're emerging because you got 3 stones and earth. And your spirit is awakening to all this. I think some of the stuff you've heard about it, but you were like me, you were disenchanted with it. You didn't follow it. Your spirit up in the root chakra, up here, and it was here and here. It's in these two. You have connections with spirit are needed in some situations recently, and spirit's inspiring a lot of creativity in you, and you're trying to figure out how to use it because your body and your clarity and your mind, your more earthly sort of connections are emerging in understanding of the spirit. And your body, when it's in earth, says physical changes are coming to you, and you'll begin to see and feel them. And that's going to be a sign that your guide's working with you. Your guide's name is Alice. Addie's talking to her right now. Clarity, you have many paths ahead of you, and you will be picking the correct ones. And your mind is final thoughts on this situation are coming. So I think it's you were like me, you're a late bloomer when it comes to the guide business. What do I do with them? How do I deal with them? But yours is going to be fantastic because you're seeing things very clearly right now. That's the pyrite being in true. And the tree of life says to you with pyrite in it, it says your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. So you go have a long conversation with Alice and find out. And if Alice isn't a guide you were aware of before, she's here now. And she's here to help you understand the feeling and emerging feelings you're feeling within yourself. And okay, so I hope that helps, Penelope. That's exciting. I don't, I always tell people go home. If you're sitting there at home saying, I don't want her to read about my guide and tell everybody about it, you can do it yourself. If you can do, I find guides are easy to find using automatic writing. That's how I found Frank. And if you don't know what automatic writing is, you can look it up quickly. But it's just putting the piece of paper to one side. You're not really looking at it. You're just writing out sentences, and the universe will start to tell you things. And in the case for me, it told me about Frank. So, what do your guides want you to know? Pauline. Okay. Oh, they're helping you clear out a lot. If you've been having nightmares and some weird thoughts, that's been because you're in the part of the garden called restate. Like I told you, it's like it looks like a weed bed, but really all the stuff we really need to know is in there. We just have to look at it. And when you're in restate and it's the spirit, you're going in the right direction, but you're looking for clarification about it. And you've got two cool stones in water. Water is when energy's moving off. It's not overwhelming you. It's kind of flowing off the board. It's flowing around you. And you have clarity in water. And you have all the clarity you need. Follow one of the paths, make a choice, and use your life force to resolve situations. And when your mind is in water, you're really letting go of limitations. You're in a really cool place, Pauline. You're feeling very open and free. You're feeling very, and yet there's days you go, but that can't happen to me. But it is. And that's what you're clearing out of the garden. It is you. This is your root. This is where you're supposed to be. This is who you are. And the body is an earth. You got some physical changes coming. You may lose a little bit of weight. If you have some part of your body that's been hurting, I have a feeling they're going to take the pain away. The pain was just to tie you to your body. I know that sounds weird, but I had both my knees replaced 10 years ago. And and they should have been, well, they blew up 10 years before that. So I walked around on bone for 10 years. That is as painful as it sounds. But during that time, it really kept me grounded into where I needed to go. And you don't waste time with people and walking around and doing stuff you don't need to do if every step you take hurts. So it grounded me. So your body's been going through that somehow, and that's going away. You're outgrowing it. You don't need that anymore. And your values are also being found in the earth. And more is going to be brought forward. And your mental action, you're letting go of these mental limitations is how you're going to grow. So a summation of you is you become very aware of where you are. You're cleaning up your act. You're figuring out spiritually where you want to go. And your mind and your values are tying together. And something that's been a chronic problem from you is going away. So you're in a good place, Pauline. Yay. And Candy. Okay. Candy. If you have a garden, you're supposed to get out your little compass that's on your cell phone and figure out which way is north. And in the case of my garden, this is north. This is like north of me. And so that sets up how the garden is laid just down on the table, just getting it, the gross geometry. This is winter is the furthest point from you. Spring is to the right. Summer is closest to you, and fall is to the left. So when you get your garden, if you have your garden, whatever you're doing with your garden, when you lay it out and get it in the right thing, that's the orientation. This is winter, spring, summer, fall. And for the person who just bought a garden, that will be the same for you. Marsha. You've never heard that before, I'm sure. Do my guides have a message for you? Message from Marsha's guides to Marsha. Oh, well, you've been thinking about something really, really hard, and they're telling you to go for it. quit lollygagging around. Your thoughts are leading the way. You've been encumbered by thoughts from the past that said, but what you really need to do is think about what's really worked out well for you. And it may be worked out well to a point, but not completely. You may need to rethink it. But that one really means that look at previous forms that have served you well. You've got clarity in true, which is lovely. Your ideas are correct and they're coming from water. They're flowing easily. You have all the clarity you need. Go for it, girl. You also have pyrite, and this is wonderful. Pyrite in water means grounding changes, that things that you're setting up right now are going to be set up for the long term. So consider them to be changes into long-term patterns. And your spirit's coming out of the earth. That's beautiful. Your spirit's transforming right now, but you're not finished. So what your guides are telling you is keep going on the path you're going on because you're moving in the right direction. But your spirit hasn't completely accepted its way into this pattern, and it will get there for you, Marcia. But you're clearly in a great path. Okay. Okay. I'm going to answer your question, but you didn't put it in caps. Makes it very hard for me. Okay, let's see what your guides are nudging you to do. Okay. What direction are Diane's guides nudging her? Okay. Oh, well, you got some good stones. You got your pyrite, which is grounding, in the crown chakra, which that gives you the confidence. Okay. This gives you confidence in your ability to connect the energies. And so these are the energies down here. And your clarity is being blocked somewhat by things from the past. You need to learn, just look at the lessons you've learned and figure out how to work with it. Unfortunately, this isn't every. This says the same thing twice. It says use the solutions you've had from the past, and that's where they're nudging you. You also have the mind and water. It's a day for that, guys. This is a good day to get read. You need to let go of your limitations. The only thing holding you back is yourself, and it's because your body is buried in old patterns from the past that you cling to. And with this stone here, you could flip this to here and go through drastic changes. Now, your spirit was hiding here in the corner, and it says thoughts of these two are tied together, thoughts of the past and how you're feeling, physically feeling inside yourself, your cellular self, are blocking you from seeing all this great stuff that's happening. But I think you're going to see it no matter what, because your grounding is up in your crown chakra, which is a great place to, if you're going to get grounded. Okay. One more. And then I got one more after this. Imelda, I'm going to read your question. And Sparkling Sea Mermaid. Okay, do my guides have messages for me? Emerald. Okay. Yeah, your guides are telling you are also in a great position. You've got a lot of clarity about what's going on around it. You've got your grounding and go for it. All is aligned with your own values, and you're in true, and you're seeing things clearly. So you need to quit questioning yourself and saying, I'm not seeing this right. You really are. And let's see what else they say. They're telling you that your clarity comes from your own thinking and keeping your own thoughts clear. Your spirit is in water. And this is what you've been going through, a huge transmutation. You've had a real awakening inside yourself, but you're still clinging to your past when you didn't have those kinds of awakenings, and you're having a little bit of trouble with it. But what's happening is you're thinking, and this clarity is you're bringing a whole lot of threads from your past that have happened to you in this life, and some of which is from a past life. So that's interesting for you too. They're coming together, And don't be tied to false energies of the past. If you can think in terms of when you envision tonight that goes into water, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're having a whole awakening. And yeah, your guides have been banging on the door. They really wanted you to know that. And I've got two more, and then we will be off this. A sparkling sea mermaid message from your guides. Okay. That's cute. I love them when they line up. That's really important. Your body's in go for it, which is movement right now with your thoughts is easy. Your spirit is in water, and you've got another one. You're another person who's completed the transmutation. You have your pyrite is in water, and grounding changes are settling into long-term patterns. And you know how all the solutions is. It's like something's come up again that you did before that you were very successful at, and it's telling you to go for it. And your thoughts over here, and it's your thoughts are all important. Your thoughts are the ones that are going to make it. So, but your guides are telling you, girl, you are in a straight line trajectory out of here. I mean, to out of the being locked and feeling very, very heavily tied to the earth. And horrible headache over my son. Oh, Imelda, could you and I have words? My oldest son, in the last 2 years, because his wife locked him out of the house and took all the bank accounts. He was homeless for a while. He wasn't homeless. He had kind friends that took him in. He managed to find 2 really good jobs, did a great job at it, but he works in politics. So now he's waiting for this primary season and a couple of other things. So he's been kicking around. It's like the 2 younger children are like, don't talk to the eldest. It's just always a problem. But he has done a whole lot of wiping out of his life. So I'm going to clear Sean from my thoughts. And what relief can Imelda find to her son? And as you can see, the stone's laid out completely differently. Okay. Where do we go first? I'm going to go in thoughts. Air is thoughts. Air is the equivalent of the swords in tarot. Your body is in air, and it's ground your thoughts. Quit buzzing around. Quit getting all wound up in what he's doing, because that's just going to make you sick. And your thoughts, the way you think right now is all important. And I cannot tell you how, I mean, that sounds like it keeps saying the same thing, but it's absolutely true. Your spirit is emerging. You're finding your spirit is transforming about the situations around him, and you're learning new ways to deal with it. This is a lesson to mama. Your values need to be reconsidered. Whatever he's doing that's making you nuts, you just need to say, that's not how I would do it. But let him, he has to live his own life. He has to make his own mistakes. And the outlier is in your clarity. Use lessons you've used with him before that have helped you get past these sorts of situations. But the real clarity is you need to create and harmonize your own intentions, because the things you're judging that he's doing wrong, you need to let go of that and open your mind up and let your new spirit emerge, and you'll be much happier. And with that, I am going to come and say goodbye to your faces. I think next Thursday, I will do kind of a quick look at crystals. I have to develop some ideas, and if I can talk her into it, and she's in the chat, so I ought to be able to. If I can talk Dr. Gail into doing it, we'll do something on Thursday, and we'll talk about crystals. We'll maybe talk about how she uses them in healing. And she has sent me a list of stones, And I have a few books on stones, so I'm going to be researching her crystals. Um, and I'll talk about how to research crystals, how to go read on them, and what you need to know. Now, this is the book you don't really need. A friend of mine gave it to me, or I wouldn't have it. This thing weighs a ton, but it's got every stone in the world in it. We'll look up some stones, and maybe that's what I'll just do: stones, 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 and I'll look up stones for you. I know a lot of stones off the top of my head, but I always like to look deeper. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and I will talk with you later. You have a good day. Bye.